La La Land shines brilliantly the year before, and First Man, created by the same team this year, of course, has been the focus of propaganda in the past. Many viewers are waiting to learn how the new film, also directed by Damien Chazelle and starring Ryan Gosling, made its way out of Los Angeles, landed on the moon and pursued its dreams. Pearl and Jade in the front, the comparison is inevitable. First Man has received good reviews since its release, which is not comparable. However, before comparing the two works, it should be more clear that one is a love song and dance film, the other is a biography of historical figures, such as apples and oranges, coffee and milk tea. How to compare? If you don't think about it, audiences who enter with a beautiful memory of La La Land singing and dancing may yell and be depressed, and those who laugh at the vulgar audience may miss the masterpiece. Maybe two movies can be condensed into one word before seeking answers. There are too many fragments that can be included in the plot of the film about the course of human landing on the moon. What is the story of First Man? The prologue of the film has already been prompted. Armstrong's daughter died early because of illness, and he just signed up for the lunar landing project at a reasonable time. Whether the death of her daughter is the cause of the story has become a suspense. During the interview, the last question was whether his daughter's death would affect him. He responded calmly, pointing out that the interviewer regarded his daughter's death as a problem and that the presupposition was questionable. In response to the tyranny, it also secretly lays out the main line of the film: Armstrong is hard-hearted and soft-hearted, and this no problem is constantly intertwined in the story, making this story about human feats secretly turn into a story about love and relationship. In addition to the introduction of the death of her daughter, the film repeatedly depicts funeral scenes. Nevertheless, instead of crying and crying, it is a kind of almost habitual calm. A great cause such as landing on the moon, which is a great step for mankind, will succeed in a long time. But it seems that the movie does not intend to magnify the greatness of Armstrong or mourn the dead bones forgotten by history, but to make the silent death the key to reconstructing the relationship between Armstrong and the people around him. Neighbors, wives and sons are also involved in their relationship around death. This design seems to bring Iwate back to Earth from the moon, becoming more flesh and blood. Is the death of a daughter not a problem? The answer is self-evident from repeated allusions. However, First Man does not demonize this psychological shadow, but gradually unravels the protagonist's heart knot. First, Armstrong was willing to talk with his neighbors about his dead daughter. On the eve of his flight, his wife forced him to tell his sons that he might never return. This farewell could also be regarded as a step of Armstrong's willingness to face up to death. A handrope in the prologue is even more important, linking the daughter's name to the whole story. At the end of the story, a dialogue in the press conference and a gentle movement on the moon also make people understand what is hard-spoken and soft-hearted, and instantly moved. Few people pay attention to the following scene. The story ends with Armstrong and his wife looking across the glass. The film has never directly described the fragments of love and romance between two people, and the relationship between them has always been a genuine distance. They are often connected by radio waves. Strictly speaking, it is only one-sided to know the other party's news. Perhaps it is because of this distance that Rock-Tank finds the most suitable position in this relationship. In the last scene, Armstrong sent his wife a kiss across the glass, just right. The emotions of this introverted and steady protagonist are also hidden, compressed on a hand rope and a kiss. It was not until the empty moon, the moment the rope left the hand, that the repressed emotion was released and some tears were shed. If the scenery and misery of landing on the moon is the face of First Man, the heroic tears of Armstrong in the last month are actually more important. When I left the cinema, I felt as if there was something missing from First Man. Later on, I recalled that the film missed a picture that many people expected, the image of the astronauts inserting the American flag on the surface of the moon. It is believed that the biggest and even the only impression most people have of the lunar landing plan nearly 50 years ago is that of the American flag. How could audiences have imagined that the movie with the theme of landing on the moon had not planted a national flag on the moon from the beginning to the end? Looking through the information, We found that the director did not forget the American flag, but did not intend to focus on it, just arranged it to appear silently, hidden in the background of the picture. However, looking at the whole film, it will be clear that the American flag is hidden. In fact, it is also meaningful. The existence or non-existence of things is also worth pondering. If there is a flag insertion scene, audiences will be sure to pay attention to how the director reproduces this historical moment which has touched billions of people's hearts through sound effects and pictures. If this scene does not exist, we should think more about the meaning behind the omission. First Man talks more about the controversy caused by the lunar landing plan than about the eulogy of merit. In addition to frequent accidents, it is worth exploring whether it is worthwhile to spend astronomical figures on the moon. For example, a black folk song in the film, which is in opposition to the official, shows a satire at the uneven distribution of resources. What folk songs sing is not that human smells of wine and meat, but that there are frozen bones on the road. First Man's questioning of the lunar landing plan and its deliberate concealment of the symbolic meaning of the American flag seem to be somewhat politically incorrect and have caused controversy in the United States. Two distinct space movies from the United States and Russia are like the space race that lasted decades ago. The competition in the cinema once again highlights the special features of First Man, which focuses on exploring the human nature of the lunar landing heroes, national honor, political correctness, or secondarily. Understanding how First Man hides stories and emotions, naturally understands that it's not easy to evaluate the film. La La Land is not only the explosive force of acting, the camera scheduling of singing and dancing scenes, but also the director's changeable narrative style. It's also clear-cut and clear-cut. It's easy for the audience to know whether it fits their taste. On the contrary, First Man is just because everything comes in differently, like a cup of tea, insipid or fragrant back to sweet, really each flower into each eye. This also explains why First Man, though generally praised, has always been a little far from wonderful. In fact, many parts of First Man are very meticulous. For example, the score of La La Land is again led by Justin Hurwitz. The effect is good. So far as the images and sound effects of the spacecraft are quite realistic, I believe Steven Pittsburgh, the supervisor, has contributed a lot. In addition, the film's initial stage is mainly rough and shaky, which is in sharp contrast to the ultra-high-definition images after the landing of the moon in the later stage. These technical processing shows the director's mind. Isn't Armstrong a moon? Looking far into the glow of greatness, in fact, it is still full of holes. First Man is to return Armstrong to the magnesia lamp, like an eclipse, dim but true.